Dear students, welcome to the next lecture of electrical measurement. In this lecture, we will talk about the single phase induction type energy meter. So, this instrument actually is used for the measurement of energy, as is already being visible from its name. Okay. So, the energy meter basically consists of four different parts, or we can also call it as its components, like we have the driving system, the moving system, the braking system, and the registering system. So these are the four important parts of this energy meter. Okay, so this is the constructional diagram which is shown alongside here. Okay, so now all of these parts will be discussed one by one. Now the driving system, first of all, it consists of basically two different electromagnets. One is called the shunt magnet and the other one is called the series magnet. Okay, and the core of these electromagnets is made up of silicon steel laminations. The coil of one of the electromagnets is excited by the load current. This coil is called the current coil, whereas the coil of second electromagnet is connected across the supply, and therefore it carries a current which is proportional to the supply voltage. So this coil is called the pressure coil. So basically there are two coils. One is called the pressure coil, or it can also be called voltage coil, and the second coil is called the current coil. So this thing can also be seen in this figure. Okay, so this is the current coil, this is the current coil, it carries the load current. Okay, this is the current coil, and the magnet on which this is wound, that is called the series magnet, whereas this is called the pressure coil, this one, which is being shown to be wound on this magnet, and this magnet is called the shunt magnet. So these actually are the components of the driving system. So this pressure coil is the coil which is having larger number of turns of fine wire. Okay, and it is wound on this middle limb of the shunt magnet. The voltage coil has many turns, and therefore it is arranged to be highly inductive as possible. So this is the main point, that this pressure coil is highly inductive. So this means that the current which flows through this coil will lag the supply voltage by nearly 90 degrees, since it is highly inductive. The series electromagnet, which is energized by a coil which is known as a current coil, and this is connected in series with the load, so it carry the load current. The flux produced by this magnet, that is the series magnet, is proportional to the and in phase with the load current. Okay, so these are the main points related to the driving system. Now come to the moving system. The main part of the moving system is the presence of a aluminum disc. Okay, so this is a light rotating aluminum disc which is mounted on a vertical spindle or shaft, we can say. The shaft that supports the aluminum disc is connected by a gear type of arrangement to the clock mechanism on the front of the meter to provide information that is consumed consumed energy by the load. Okay, so again we just go back to the figure, and we can see that there is a disc. This is the disc which is being placed in between the two magnets. Okay, so the shunt magnet and the series magnets, and in between these two magnets there is a aluminum disc which is being shown. Okay, so this is the main moving system of this induction type energy meter. So this aluminum disc which is placed in between the two electromagnets, this is actually rotated. Okay, and the number of rotations of this disc is proportional to the energy which is consumed by the load in a certain time interval, and that can be measured. Okay, next part is the braking system. So, braking system is actually a permanent magnet that is located diametrically opposite to the two AC magnets. So, this permanent magnet actually it is positioned near the edge of the aluminum disc and it forms the braking system. Okay. So, actually it is not being shown in this diagram, but this magnet is somewhere placed at the edges of near this aluminum disc. So, if this is the disc in the central location, so the braking magnet will be somewhat placed in this manner. Okay, that is just near the edges. So, the aluminum disc moves in the field of this magnet and thus provides a braking torque. The position of the permanent magnet is adjustable and therefore braking torque can be adjusted by shifting the permanent magnet to different positions. Now, next is the registering or counting mechanism. So, the actually the function of the registering or counting mechanism is to record continuously a number which is proportional to the revolutions made by the moving system. So, by a suitable system, a train of reduction gears, the pinion on the rotor shaft drives a series of 5 or 6 pointers. Okay. So, registering system is nothing but a counting mechanism which just gives a value of the quantity being recorded. Okay. So, the energy meter actually determines and it just adds together all the instantaneous values of power, so that the total energy used over a period is thus known. So, that is why this meter is also known as an integrating type of meter, since it integrates or combines or adds all the values. Now, let us come to the some general operation or theory of the induction type meters. Okay. So, in all induction type instruments generally we have two fluxes which are produced by the currents flowing in the windings of the instrument, and these fluxes are alternating in nature, and so they produce EMFs in either a metallic disc or a drum provided for the purpose, and these EMF will in turn circulate eddy currents in the metallic disc or the drum. Okay. So, generally we have two different fluxes and two eddy currents, and therefore, two torques they are produced by the first flux interacting with the eddy current produced by the second flux, and the second flux interacting with the eddy current produced by the first flux. So, this is the general operation of a induction type instrument. Okay. Now, this is the phasor diagram which is shown in this figure of the single phase induction type energy meter. Okay. The different parameters which are being shown here, like this V is the applied voltage. Okay. And I is the load current. Phi is the value of the phase angle between V and I. Similarly, IP is the pressure coil current. Delta, this is shown is the angle between the supply voltage and the pressure coil flux. So, this is the angle between supply voltage and pressure coil flux. F is the frequency, Z is the impedance of the eddy current paths. So, this is the impedance of eddy current paths, then this alpha is the phase angle of eddy current path, phase angle of eddy current paths. Okay. Then we have certain more parameters like this E, which stands for the eddy EMF induced by the flux phi p. So, let us just write it down, the eddy not eddy current, this will be eddy EMF produced by, or you can also call it induced by, this flux phi p, that is the flux which is being produced by the pressure coil current. Similarly, this I EP is the eddy current which is induced by, again this same flux phi p. Then the eddy EMF induced by flux phi s, that is the flux of this series magnet or series coil, you can say, which is the current coil. And then I E s is the eddy current induced by this same flux. Okay. Now, the driving torque, that is the net driving torque, can be represented by this variable T d, and it can be shown that this net driving torque in case of the induction type energy meter is equal to phi 1 phi 2, that is the product of phi 1 and phi 2, F by Z sin beta cos alpha. Okay, so all these parameters are already defined before, that is beta, alpha, phi 1, phi 2, F, Z. Now, this actually phi 1, phi 2 are the two different fluxes which are there in any induction type instrument. Let us at the moment just remove this proportionality sign and bring in a constant, we may call it as K1. So, K1 phi 1 phi 2 F by Z and sin beta cos alpha. So, this phi 1 phi 2 are the two fluxes which are generally present in any induction type instrument. Now, in our case, the two fluxes phi 1 and phi 2 are nothing but phi p and phi s, that is the fluxes produced by the shunt coil or pressure coil and series coil, or you can say current coil. So, these currents or these fluxes are denoted by phi p and phi s. So, we can replace phi 1 and phi 2 with phi p and phi s. Okay. And beta is the phase angle between this flux phi p and phi s. So, beta, as it is the angle between the fluxes phi p and phi s. So, from the phasor diagram we can see that this beta is equal to delta minus phi. Okay. We can just see in the phasor diagram that what is the flux, what is the phase difference between this phasor phi p and this phasor phi s. So, this angle actually you have to calculate this angle. Okay. So, this angle will come as delta minus phi. So this means that driving torque can be written as K1 phi p phi s F by Z sin delta minus phi cos alpha. But we know, let me just write it on the next slide. But this pressure coil flux is proportional to the supply voltage, okay, and the series coil flux is proportional to the load current. So therefore the deflecting torque will again be modified as K2 Vi F by Z sin delta minus phi cos alpha, okay. And if we consider this F, Z and alpha to be constants, so F, Z and alpha are constants, then again the expression for deflecting torque can be written as K3 Vi sin delta minus phi, okay. Now if n is the steady speed, then the braking torque can be shown to be equal to K4 times n, where this n is the steady speed, that is the speed of the disc, okay. So the braking torque will be proportional to it, and it can be written as this K4 times n, where again this is a constant, okay. So at steady speed, obviously the driving torque must be equal to the braking torque. So at steady speed, the two torques must be equal, that is K4n should be equal to K3 Vi sin delta minus phi, or it means n will be equal to K times Vi sin delta minus phi. Now if delta is exactly equal to 90 degree, then in this case the speed, that is n, can be written as K times Vi sin 90 minus phi, which is nothing but K times Vi cos phi, or we can see that this Vi cos phi is nothing but power. So in order that the speed of rotation is proportional to power, the angle delta should be equal to 90 degree, okay. So this is the condition, that this angle delta has to be equal to 90 degree if this speed has to be proportional to the power, and this angle delta should be equal to 90 degree. It will be 90 degree when the flux phi p must be made to lag the supply voltage by exactly 90 degree, okay. So the total number of revolutions total number of revolutions, that is integral n dt and again if we consider delta to be equal to 90 degree, then in this case the total number of revolutions will be equal to k times vi cos phi dt. So again it is can be written as power. Okay, so this means that a constant multiplied by energy, since this is integral power dt is nothing but the energy. So we can see that the total number of revolutions is actually proportional to the energy which is to be measured. So this is the you can say purpose of the induction type energy meter, that is to measure uh, the energy which is being consumed by the load. So this was the brief operation or theory of the induction type energy meter. Now there are some more things which are remaining, which we have to discuss about the induction type energy meter, like there are some errors which are there, or there are some adjustments which have to be made, or there are some one or two or more extra things which have to be discussed. So that will take up in the next lecture. So this is all in this lecture. Thank you very much.